Your experience in life is not as a result of God's powerlessness. Your experience in life is not as a result of demons or curses, primarily speaking. But there is a deficiency in understanding in that area of life you're trying to improve. Your life is akin to a mirror, and to correct something in a mirror, you do not put your hand in the mirror. You correct it here and the mirror corrects itself. You see that our approach to growth has largely been wrong. We think the secret to change is by changing physical things, but that's just a recipe to disaster. You're trying to solve a problem by attacking the diagnosis as opposed to, or you're trying to solve a problem by attacking the symptoms as opposed to the diagnosis. When you go to a doctor and she's asking you the symptoms, she's asking you how you feel, all that is an attempt to accumulate those symptoms, to ascribe them to a particular disease which they begin to attack immediately. Very rarely does the doctor say, "Oh, you have headache, let's give you paracetamol. Oh, you have this, let's give you X. Oh, you have infection, let's give you antibiotics." They do not attack the symptoms individually, but the symptoms are a requirement to ascribe that disease or that discomfort to a particular diagnosis. That's all it's for. And you verily understand this analogy, yet you default, you're a perpetrator, you perpetually default. Something's wrong in your life. Instead of attacking the diagnosis, you attack symptoms. Your life is a consequence of your decisions. Success is a consequence of your decisions. You are where you are because of the decisions you make. Have this flawed belief that they are the one making the decisions. In in essence, their body is the one making the decision, which is wrong. Your mind is the controller of your destiny. Your body is just an executor. Your mind is the instruction giver. And to change the results you have in your life, before you make a decision, before you take any action, you usually think about it, right? So when you think about it and come to a conclusion, then you execute. So instead of trying to limit yourself, instead of trying to restrict yourself from stopping X habits by creating ecosystem that prevents you from executing that habit, which is good, at least it is a step, it is an action that shows your commitment to disengage yourself from that bad habit or whatever it is you're trying to change in your life. However, I bring you this perspective that for lasting change, you do not fight existing realities, you do not create permanent change by fighting existing realities. You create a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. That's the easiest way for change. You want to change X habits and you believe the way to change X habits is to stop doing it. Of course, that's a logical way to view it. But as you and I know, logical solutions don't work because they've been tried by everybody. That's what everyone will try and do. Try to approach things from a psychological perspective instead of making the train faster. Why not make the experience more enjoyable? It's the same thing they did with lifts, these elevators. Instead of making the elevator move faster or quicker, what do? They make floor to ceiling mirror. So you get lost looking at yourself that you forget the actual time it takes to elevate you to your desired destination. So when you want to change a habit, instead of attacking the habit directly, change the philosophy that brings about that habit. You want to quit weed, for instance. Why do you smoke weed? You believe you're depressed, your life is in disarray. That's why you smoke weed, because you're chasing hedonism. And everyone who chases high, everyone who wants to be high, eventually knows that that high turns to a low. So it's an infinite loop of chasing of hedonism. When people say all this thing, "Oh, let's go do something fun, come here, it's going to be fun." Why is it going to be fun? Everyone does it. That fun that is accessible to everyone is not actually fun. It is easy. If it is easy, that is something you should run away from because everyone have access to it. Not everyone can go out there and build properties like I. Not everyone can see that the stock market is crashing and take opportunities. Currently now the government has designed incentives. When you see the government formulate these policies and enact committees in an attempt to provide the Nigerians with benefits. What they are doing is they've identified that the country is in disarray, and the only way to stimulate the economy is by by building these communities that ultimately contribute to the community. When you hear that they're printing trillions and trillions of naira, how do you think that they share that money into the economy? Do you think they get it on a helicopter and distribute it, or do they credit people randomly? Because I didn't get any money. Did you get any money? But you've heard constantly in the news that X amount of person or X president is printing trillions and trillions of naira. So how does this benefit the economy? This is what I'm going to share with you. It benefits the economy by creating what I like to call economy stimulant committees. So when you see these committees like the poverty alleviation scheme, when you see these committees building homes, that is not an attempt to be identified as a philanthropist. No, what they're doing is they're trying to disburse and fuel money into the economy, because another way to do this would have been through open market operations, but unfortunately the vassals are not as financially literate to take upon that opportunity. Most of you don't even know what I'm talking about. Most of you don't understand how the OMC is it OMC? I don't know the abbreviation, but most of you don't know how the open market operations function. Most of you haven't heard of it. So they do this poverty alleviation scheme in order to funnel money into the economy. Now the person who sells food, the person who sells food gets the money. The construction workers get the money. These people developing homes, when they develop home, they create new homes, they create new jobs, they create new employment, they create new that's government incentivizing the spending of money in order to boost the economy. That's all it is. They are not philanthropists, and eventually that's not the discourse of today. But back to what we're saying, your mind is the key factor to your success. If you're going to be successful, like the analogy which I gave you, you're not the one making decisions. Your body, you are the one executing decisions. Your body is just an executor. Your mind is the instruction giver. And in order to change behaviors, you have to impute different information into your head. Stop attacking symptoms. Attack the initial diagnosis. Treat the diagnosis, and the symptoms will follow suit. But if you treat the symptoms, if you end the opposite direction, it's very unlikely that you're going to get a holistic healing. Sure, you might get well in some aspects, but there are more often than not there are aspects in your life that are going to be deficient. You want a holistical healing as opposed to a fragmented one. So attack the instruction giver. Why do you think everyone knows this to be true? If you give a poor man 10 million naira, it's only a matter of time before he reverts back to equilibrium. He reverts back to his previous state. Why is that? You know this concept to be true, but why is it true? Because of your mindset. Your mindset caps how much you can achieve. That is why certain amount of finances recycle in your life. And when you receive that money as you are dancing, your mindset interprets it as a lie, and it goes to work and makes sure it creates activities in your life that makes you deplete that money to the state where your mindset says now you are proper. This is the problem. When you hand that poor man the money, what's the first thing he do? He stops driving his taxi or stop going to his normal work. He enrolls all his children to one of the best school in the community, not out of the desire for his children to gain knowledge, but so that he can brag to his poor friends that his children are the best in the community. He goes out, he depletes the money completely by drinking, etc., etc. At best, he funnels it into some kind of small kiosk. At best, a 10 million investment, a 10 million naira flow through your account, and at best, what you have to show for it is a kiosk. That's how the poor man thinks. Spend, spend, spend. And most of you, majority, when you receive money, you've already earmarked a portion for consumption, which is another flawed belief system. But that's not the discourse for today. The discourse for today is how you can change your mind, or is to bring you to the awareness that your mind is the instruction giver. And once you fix it, you fix your life. Um, Why do people, even though they are aware that their mindset is the instruction giver, why are they still poor? The first is people think they're still young. People think they're still young. Majority of people have this flawed belief that time is always on their side. Majority of people in this generation are so pampered. Majority of people get what they want without even asking because they are reaping from a harvest that they did not plant. They have some parents or some allowance coming in, so they've not feel the pressure of their decisions, regardless of if they sow, they would reap. So they're leveraging on someone else's sacrifices, and as significant as that is, you're a good parent and you want the best for your child, so you would not let him suffer. But there is a pain factor that can wake you up. I would argue that point, the most transformative point of your life was when you felt pain. Maybe you were in some kind of debt, the mortgage was due, your heart got broken, etc., etc., etc. That was the most transformative point of your life you underwent. But when everything is good, dinner is on home on time, your wife loves you, you're still getting sex, etc., everything is good, it's all happy, hedonistic, you become lazy. Is when things are messed up. That's when the hero emerges in you. Success is a decision. Everything in life is a decision. Your decisions in life, or the consequence of your decisions, have already been pre-programmed. Everything you do has an equal and opposite reaction. If I walk to the summit of this building and I jump, chances are excellent that I would fall. So falling is the consequence that comes in honor to that decision. I've not made that decision, but we already know my lot. My lot is already defined because we've seen it in others. So once you drink booze every Friday night or go through this hedonistic route, you know your lot has already been predefined because you've seen your predecessors and you've seen where that path led them down. You've seen the end of the rabbit hole, you've seen the end of the tunnel, but you're too scared to admit it. So you pretend that that problem doesn't exist. You pretend that it's all going to be fine. You pretend that if you keep going, that something will turn up. But my friend, I'll tell you that life doesn't change anything. Life only reviews. Time doesn't change anything. It only reviews. It only reviews the past decisions you've been making. Take action today. There's a version of you who has all the things you desire. You have to become that version. See you in the next one.